Knew it all along. Knew it all along. You knew exactly what was going to happen there.
It was easy. No problem.
No doubt.
Easy.
No doubt. All right, welcome in. It is the Project Game Day post-game show. In fact, I started it so quickly I didn't even get to put the actual result in the description. If you're with us on Facebook Live, it just says the Ravens blank against the Steelers. It doesn't say win over the Steelers because I did not know what was going to occur at that point because it was hairy. We're in the Live Casino Hotel studio. I'm Glenn Clark. He is Ken Zalis. And just like you drew it up, KZ, that's exactly how you imagine that one was going to go today. Right?
As far as what Ravens-Steelers games are, yes. They're close. They're one possession. It comes down to somebody making a play. But the way the game kind of, you thought early that the Ravens had things under control and, up by 10 points and going in at the half. Looked like they're going to be up by, 7 or whatever. And just multitude of events. The air in the entire stadium kind of dissipated for about 10 minutes in the third quarter with the hit on Rudolph.
It was a really goofy game. Everything about this was goofy. And I don't mean that in a cheeky way. Like after you say the Rudolph, it was just such a strange way this whole thing went. Everything about this football game was strange. It was a bizarre day in which ultimately this is the defining a win type of statement, right? Because the reaction from a lot of people around town is going to be as if the Ravens lost the football game. But all that really does matter is that they walked out with a victory. A
road victory.
A road victory. It doesn't bury the Steelers necessarily, but it would take a miracle, particularly if this kid has to keep playing quarterback because he is god-awful. Hedges or Hodges or whatever the F is. I don't even remember.
It is Hodges.
I did a bit all game where I was just giving him different D names, but it was only sort of a bit. I genuinely forgot what the kid's name was 6 times because who would remember? He's terrible.
Who knew he was in the NFL? And can I just say one thing about you're terrible? I don't think he was terrible.
He was terrible. His balls fluttered every time he had to throw the ball downfield.
This is an undrafted free agent rookie coming in against the Ravens. And you know what?
Right, the worst defense in the world.
He converted some third downs. I mean, he
converted a third down by running at one point.
At one point, he completed some passes. I don't think terrible.
He
was
mostly hit his wide open receivers, but he didn't make any throw that wasn't to a wide open receiver, and he didn't hit all of his wide open receivers. That guy stinks. He's awful.
You're tough.
Now, by the way, by the context of a guy that shouldn't be in the position, God bless him. He didn't throw 6 picks, right? But he's not good enough for the Steelers to get back into this thing if he has to play quarterback the rest of the season.
Juju Smith-Schuster holds onto the ball. It may have won the game in overtime.
Maybe.
May have.
Maybe. I'm not there yet, but maybe.
It was a perfect pass.
I would agree that it was his best throw of the day.
Okay, I'm just saying. I think we're not really going to debate. We're not
going to do that. We're not going to debate about Damien Hamburgers.
Damien Hamburgers?
Whatever the F his name is. Who cares? He's terrible.
Hodges.
Who cares?
He's from Sanford.
Stop. You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
I don't know his first name.
The Devlin. I actually do know that part, but I keep trying to call him Declan because that's like a popular name now, Declan. But it's Devlin is apparently his name. The moral of this story is that the Ravens ultimately win the football game.
They do.
All of the bizarre crap that happened between these two things really doesn't matter. I know that's going to be difficult for us to deal with during the course of the week because we're going to still be screaming and yelling about, I think this was a bad call, or I think that whatever it was. Ultimately, the Ravens just needed to win the football game somehow, some way. Their best player, their one good defensive player, made a desperately needed play when the game was on the line. By far, at this point, I think the best player on the roster if you eliminate Justin Tucker. I mean, Justin Tucker is the best at what he does. But as far as the football players are concerned, the one guy who has made it very clear he's the best player on the roster, maybe Yonda's still in that argument. But Marlon Humphrey's a number 2 or 1B, whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is, Marlon Humphrey's that guy. And when the game was on the line, your player made a play. Whatever the circumstances are, he deserves great credit for that. That matters, and it matters more to me than anything that happened during the course of the goof. Their problems are still their problems, but their problems didn't become their problems today.
No, they didn't become their problems. They had those problems coming into the game. They have those problems leaving the game.
Right.
So I agree with you there. And not that you like to look ahead, but Cincinnati is horrible. And if in any universe that Cincinnati comes in, the game's at home next week, right?
Yes.
Comes into M&T and beats the Ravens, I'm thank God I'll be here next week because I want a piece of it.
Okay.
But this team should be 4-2. They have a 3-game lead, essentially, because of the tiebreaker over the Steelers, which is fantastic. Seeing what Cleveland does, at worst, they're a game behind Cleveland. But this team, they haven't played a good football game against a good football team. Okay,
that's true. Yes, they haven't beaten. They haven't beaten a team with a winning record. Like, you can do all. We can do this.
We're gonna do
forever.
This again. I know we're gonna do this again because it's not the first year that this has happened. This secondary is in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Jefferson goes down. We don't know the severity. I haven't seen any update except that he left on a cart, which doesn't always mean anything.
No, I mean right.
You know, Rudolph should have left on a cart, but
unfortunately the cart didn't work. Right.
There's no pass rush whatsoever, whether it's 4, 6, 8, 12 guys rushing the quarterback at the same time. There's no pass rush. Consistent pass rush. Every once in a while, they get home. The wide receivers apparently do not get open at all. You're throwing to the tight ends. To me, you have a quarterback.
The tight ends are starting to get a little bit of wear and tear from the usage.
The usage, I agree with you.
This is starting to be not. I'm going to compare it to Todd Heap, but people would blame the throws that Bowler made.
Correct.
But it's more when you throw in the middle of the field to a guy that's going to get hit every time. Like, at some point, there is going to be wear and tear that comes along with that from the sheer number of times that you're going to those guys. Now, again, that's not saying you don't throw to those guys. I'm not suggesting that that's the wrong thing to do. Correct. But that's going to have an effect at some point.
At some point, you have to have other options. I still don't like the play calling. I think there are some things that they could utilize better, especially against aggressive defenses like the Steelers. I don't understand why this team refuses to throw bubble screens or screens to running backs or utilize it. If Justice Hill is in the game, could we just try?
Right, he's got some speed. Right, I get it. I get what you're saying.
It's a very unimaginative game plan to me, and eventually teams are going to figure out that all you can do is throw to the tight ends over the middle, and they're going to make you beat them one-on-one on the outside and put more guys in the middle. I don't know that they could do it. I just don't know that they can do it. Lamar was not good today, to me.
Right, he wasn't. If they had lost, it wouldn't necessarily maybe have been his fault. But
not necessarily been his fault.
He was not. He was not good. You're right. He wasn't good.
He missed some throws that were.
It's going to look. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's going to look worse than it was. Right, like he had 3 interceptions, one of which we probably shouldn't have counted.
Right.
One of which was really a questionable pass interference.
Yes.
Right.
It's not all his fault.
He made one god awful play today.
Correct.
Right? Like, he had one god-awful play. He wasn't good, I think, is a fair way of saying
And his god-awful play shouldn't have never been allowed to happen based on... let me get... you said something that I totally agree with, and don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. Lamar Jackson can never in a million years make that throw. The same way that we used to criticize Joe Flacco for throwing late over the middle late in games, a quarterback in the NFL can never make that throw in that situation.
We're talking about the end of the first half.
2nd and 13, when you have everything you did up to 2nd and 13 was that you were happy going in at halftime 17-10. And you were happy with everything you did, Glenn. You ran the ball.
Well, I know that.
You huddled up. You didn't use your timeout.
But you got a first down out of running the ball.
I understand that. But even after getting the first down, you then ran the ball again. Then you had the sack, and then at 2nd and 13, you huddled up after the sack. So the clock, you weren't in a rush to try to do it, and then all of a sudden you make a play call that to me proved, okay, well, we're going to go try to score here. And I don't think that I fault the thinking. But we should have done that going forward right away, not after we got under 40 seconds.
Well, okay, I think that part of it I'd listen to. The part where you say, hey, look, maybe your strategy from the get-go, and I don't remember how many timeouts the Steelers had at that point. We're too far removed for me to go back that far, and so I'd have to go back and look at some of that. If the idea that what you're saying is, hey, at that point, if you were going to go try to get points, then you go try to get points to start the drive, right?
That's all I'm saying.
I don't inherently disagree with that, but I also do know it's not absurd to think, hey, we're aware of how many timeouts they have. We want to make them use their timeouts.
And I agree with you.
Once we get a first down, we might consider changing our mind about a strategy here and what we might look to do. And so that's where I'm not where you are with the decision making there. I'm only willing to blame Lamar. Like at some point you're the quarterback. It's 2nd and 13. You got a great opportunity. You can never make that throw under any circumstances.
And that's why I started with that, because I agree with you. I agree with you. I just, in that situation, sometimes you have to realize where you are, game and feel, which is a problem that I have sometimes.
Well, they started from the 11-yard line, so I sort of did understand the idea of.
So did I, but once you're there, you still were only, where were you, about the 30?
No, you weren't even not even that far.
Okay, but right, so you're 45 seconds. You're taking your time.
Right, and your point is once you get to that point, you give up. You just say, hey, look, it's not going to happen. We're getting the ball to start the second half. We'll take that.
And that's the other point.
While I sort of understand it, I don't think it's as black and white as you do.
Okay,
I think there's still enough time there that you're saying, hey, look, it's our quarterback's made good decisions this season. We have reason to trust that he's not going to make the disastrous throw here.
I'm with you.
We're going to could feel it out a little bit, get a little bit away from the goal line, and let something happen. And ultimately, your quarterback, unfortunately, made his first really disastrous decision of the day. Now, again,
I see both sides of it. I really do. Ultimately,
when it's all said and done, while that was really bad from Lamar, and Lamar wasn't great for the day, this is a weird way of me saying this. Because I'm going to be defensive of him at the same time as I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm going to defend him for things that most of you were never willing to defend any quarterback here before over.
Right.
In the second half, he didn't have his guys.
He didn't.
In the second half, the one wide receiver that he's been able to click with wasn't on the field for the most of it.
And his tight end
that he's been able to click with went off for a good bit in the second half as well. It's tough for me to judge what happened in the second half in the same way that it was. I always said when people accuse me of defending Joe Flacco, my argument is I'm not telling you Joe Flacco is great. I'm telling you I have no idea because there aren't football players on the field. Because nobody could win with this. Although Russell Wilson's making a great argument that maybe he could.
But that's
right. But that's one guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't know what to make of this, and that I could never beat up Joe Flacco because the Ravens never gave him a chance with the people that they put around him after they ran all the players out of town. So it's tough for me to be too critical of Lamar in the same way today because I don't think that Miles Boykin not establishing himself is Lamar Jackson's fault. I don't think that Willie Snead is Lamar Jackson's fault. I don't think that Seth Roberts is Lamar Jackson's fault. I don't think those guys are good at this. I don't think they're good at getting open. I don't think they're good at making plays. I don't think they're good football players. Maybe Miles Boykin could still become a good football player at some point, but I don't think those guys are good football players. So while, no, I didn't think Lamar was great today, I'm going to oddly defend that because we know there's a secondary problem. That as excited as we were about the offense for the first 2 weeks, they still lack players.
They do.
This is the same issue that has existed for people were really mad about my Lamar Jackson take when he got drafted, but my take is you're solving the wrong problem. There is a problem that has existed in this organization for an eternity, and instead of addressing that problem, they tried to wag the dog. They tried to just change something and say, hey, let's window dress it a little bit by making it a different quarterback. But the problem is the playmakers. It's always been the playmakers. That's the problem. And it's been addressed to the extent that you drafted a guy that we all think highly of, right?
A couple of guys for me.
Sure, yeah. Let's throw in Andrews in that mix as well. We think
and Boykin. I thought a lot of him. I love the pick.
I mean, you did. I'm not. I'm more saying at this point, there's two guys that we have reason to think
we do.
are perhaps football players.
Correct.
That's what we've got at this point. There's two guys that we think perhaps are football players. To be fair, we probably assume they're always going to draft a tight end because they have done a really good job of that throughout their history.
Yes.
They don't have a complete group of football players on the offense yet either, and that's the side of the ball that we feel good about at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the scary part about this.
The O-line wasn't good enough for me today. I didn't think they opened up any holes really in the run game. I thought that, Lamar got out of a couple of sacks. He ran into a couple of sacks as well, trying to escape.
He did appear to get skittish as the second half went on.
As it went on, because they were in his face, and the O-line wasn't great. I thought the run defense for the Ravens was pretty good. We want to beat up they only gave, I don't know what the official numbers were, but at one point late in the game, I thought they had only given up like 30 yards total on the ground today. So
I mean, it does obviously help when you're not really facing a quarterback.
I get it, but if we're going to be critical,
I'm not. I'm not saying they play poorly. I'm just saying that I don't know that today. I guess two things. One, it's nice to have Brandon Williams back, but second, the secondary part of that is
right.
we
don't know.
Right. I'm not sure that I feel today like this is proof that the Ravens are really going to be able to be dominant against the run versus, hey, when you're facing a team that doesn't really have a quarterback,
right,
like you should be able to stop the run.
They still, they don't like
they ended up giving 77 yards.
Okay. What, 20 of them was to the quarterback or something like that?
Yes,
correct.
Okay.
But whatever. They defensively, again, they need to figure out how to get a pass rush. They need to change their blitz schemes because they just don't get there when they send extra people. In the secondary, look, it is what it is. I thought Earl Thomas played relatively well today. Jefferson, unfortunately, looks like he's hurt.
They did still appear to have communication issues.
They always, I don't, I'm so tired of the word communication issues with this team because I've been hearing it for 10 years. I don't know what it is about this team, and it's different coordinators, and it's everything. Something's missing. I don't know what it is. There's one constant to me, but we won't get into that.
I see your shirt, pal.
What shirt?
Yeah, we'll leave it alone. They won the football game.
They won the football game. Look, you won the football game. It's all that matters.
They won the football game.
I thought Chuck Clark in his little bit played well today. Kennedy, I thought, played pretty well today. So, Bynes, bringing Bynes and Ford in.
But this is where the flip side, somebody would say, yes, but if they had played real football players today, if they had played.
That's what I'm saying.
If they had played against Baker Mayfield or Ben Roethlisberger today.
But my next sentence was, but they look okay against bad teams. I mean, they're able to beat bad teams. And, they're going to be able to beat a bad team next week who just lost to another bad team at home in Arizona today. So after 6 weeks, we're going to look at a team that's 4-2, and if everybody's going to feel really good about it because you're 4-2, but I really have
with
no
a brutal schedule ahead,
They need to get Jimmy Smith back, and they need to get him back in a way that he's able to be 100%.
Right. I don't know if those words unfortunately work with Jimmy Smith at this point in his career.
I don't know either, and they're trying things. Kenny Young was inactive today.
Yep.
The Bynes was on the field. I always liked Bynes as a football player, but to me, he's always been a two-down run stopping.
No, I don't think he's the answer as far as pass coverage against a great tight end.
He's a little tougher of a guy. The Foyt guy. Fort.
He's a special teamer.
He's a special teamer.
Right.
We know we love our special teamers.
Well, in fairness, today, by the way, like the coverage on the kickoffs was a huge storyline in this game that nobody's going to want to talk about. Them winning this game had much to do with 3 plays early on in the game where they made coverage plays down the field. The first of which was made by L.J. Fort, for what it's worth, where they pinned the Steelers back inside the 15-yard line.
Because the Steeler guy took the ball out of the end zone.
It was dumb, but you still have to go make that play. Their
understand.
Coverage, you hate the special teams thing.
No, I don't.
But today's the day.
I hate it because you need football players that impact the game on offense and defense, not guys that can only play special teams. It's why I didn't like the signing of the one special teams dude that they signed.
Justin Bethel.
Who's
going to be released at some point
who
in the next couple of weeks.
Who cares? You have the best kicker in football that any time he kicks off, can kick it
into
the front row, and you have one of the best punters in the world.
I think I'm capable.
I
think I'm capable of understanding what you're trying to say,
I'm saying
but also
very
saying
well.
Today was a really good argument for the alternative, which is it's nice to have guys that go and make special teams plays too.
You can have anybody
because today it ended up being a
teams.
big storyline.
Anybody that brings the ball out of the end zone is going to get tackled before the 15. I don't care who.
I got to get to some of these comments. Today's show brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Catch all the action at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill, where they have tons of TVs to catch every moment of every game. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports. All right, I'm sorry, we're way behind.
I know.
Andrew Stecka says the word is survive. Yeah, that's the word for today.
Word.
Again, that's
good
the word. Like, and that's fine. It's okay to survive. When I say, I feel like people are thinking that I'm making it seem like the Ravens don't have problems. I'm saying that the story to me is the Ravens had a bunch of problems coming into this game. I didn't think that they were going to be fixed today. I think there are going to be problems throughout the course of the season. They're going to have to figure out a way to win through. Unfortunately, what I hope the way they're going to win through it is through a fairly explosive offense with your quarterback playing really well. That wasn't the case today.
It was not.
But today doesn't sell me that the quarterback is a problem either, right? Like, he's definitely the stuff we were doing after 2 weeks were making it seem like Lamar Jackson was going to be the MVP of the league. Okay, we got way ahead of ourselves based on two really bad opponents.
Correct.
Right? We got way ahead of ourselves.
I agree.
But that doesn't mean that Lamar Jackson is a problem either. No. There's room between MVP of the league and part of the problem. Like, the room right now is, for the most part, he's played well. Mm-hmm. He still had some issues.
He's made tremendous strides from year one to year two.
And he's probably being asked to do too much.
Probably.
It's probably unreasonable what he's being asked to do. But he's not a problem, even if he wasn't great today. They overcame that today. From Paul. We need help everywhere on this team. I am not impressed with this win at all. This is what I said. The reaction next couple days around town is going to be like they lost the game.
Any win against, I'll say this, and this has been as long as the Ravens and the Steelers have had a rivalry. It hasn't mattered who's playing quarterback on either side. It hasn't mattered one iota who the coaches are, who's on either team. Any win against the Steelers, especially in Pittsburgh, is a good win.
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's I could be critical of a billion things in this game, and we haven't even talked about the referees, but
you're going to get a wanking motion out of me.
I know, but
that.
And it's not the referees on the field. It's the whole replay. It's like, why even have it?
It's the rule system.
No, it's not the rule system.
It's the rules. It's the rules.
It's
1,000% the rules. The rules of football are insane, and it's impossible to officiate the game.
But going back to the point, I think everybody needs to get on board with exactly what you started with. It's a win on the road against the Steelers. It's a good win. I don't care how it happened.
By the way, again, I'm in agree with everything you say about the team. If you say the pass rush isn't any good, you're right. They don't have a pass rush.
Exactly.
You know when we knew that? Before week 1. That didn't come up today. Now, if you want to say it's disappointing because you were hoping that at some point a Tim Williams, who's no longer employed by the Ravens, or a Tyus Bowser or a Jalen Ferguson might help solve that problem, then I get it. You're disappointed by how 5 weeks have gone because those three groups have not helped solve the problem. It's a major problem. There's no solution for it. I don't have it for you. I don't know what to tell you.
Are we going to be upset when Tim Williams sacks Dak Prescott today?
I'm not convinced of that occurring, but... No, I'm not.
We're not.
I'm not. Look, it'll be a bitter pill to swallow if he ends up being a football player, no doubt. But I'm never angry at a team that tries to do something to win, right? It's like being angry that Jake Arrieta solved things with the Cubs, right? Like, I can't be mad the Orioles got rid of Jake Arrieta. He wasn't doing anything.
I'm with you.
Like, yes, it's a bitter pill to watch it happen.
It's going to be a tough one when it happens.
I hear you. From John, it's a great sign that we slugged through it and got a win in a lot of adversity. Winning cures all ills. Well, if you can keep winning, right? Like, if you can keep winning. The schedule is not conducive to just getting wins the rest of the season through your problems. You're talking about you have to play the good teams in the NFC West. Unfortunately, you already got through the bad team. Now you got to go play the good teams in the NFC West in the coming weeks. You got to take on the Rams and the 49ers and the Seahawks. And tell me where those are looking easy. And you got the Patriots and you've got the Texans. Like, this is a really difficult schedule that's ahead. So, yeah, if you're going to go through these problems, you might as well win while you go through them. but it's hard to sell yourself that you can just keep winning if the problem continues.
Right.
Because unless you get the benefit of facing backup quarterbacks again, which it worked out for the Ravens a couple years ago.
Couple years
when
ago
they got
was
to face
fantastic.
Nothing but backup quarterbacks. It's not likely to be the case. Paul in Orlando, a win is a win, and someone has to win the division. And that's true. That is.
Somebody is going to win the
this
division.
division and go to the playoffs and stupidly get a home playoff game.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's not gonna be the Bengals.
I don't think it's going to be Cincinnati.
Okay.
I think you're right about that. But I don't really feel any better about this team than I did after last Sunday. On D, just not collapsing the pocket or getting any push. For the most part, Rudolph and even Hodges weren't harassed. I heard Derek Wolf's name mentioned as a possible trade target. Is he an interior pass rusher? Don't know much about him. Why would they be looking to trade Derek Wolf after?
They're trying. They're
they're
trading
everything. They're
giving
giving
up.
It is, they're just
Because
giving
what's
up.
his name? What's
Chubb got hurt, right? I hear you.
But what's his name is on supposedly is on the block as well.
Von Miller,
yeah,
really?
yeah. Well,
I had heard like people. I didn't hear anybody positive.
There's rumors, but I mean,
I heard a lot of people saying maybe the Broncos would trade Von Miller.
Derek Wolf, I agree with. I didn't see who said that, but I agree. He's an interior guy. I don't need him. I don't need him.
Look,
I wouldn't be trading for anybody right now.
It's a tough sell. It really is.
It's a tough sell because I don't think
picks. I don't know.
I don't know if they're good.
I don't know what this team is away from being competitive for trying to win something significant.
When's the trade deadline?
Still 2 more weeks.
Because the problem is they're going to be the issue here is they're going to be 4-2,
right?
Like a week before the trade deadline.
And that is part of the issue.
I mean, because regardless of what you feel, we think we know who the team is, and 4-2 is 4-2, and if the league ended after 6 weeks, you'd probably be a playoff team, if not in the division lead. Should Cleveland lose this week?
Actually, it's a little bit later than I thought it was.
Okay.
It's October 29th, so it's still there will still be
3 weeks.
3 more games between now. Well, no, because they have their bye.
They have their bye, yeah.
So yeah, they're going to have the 2 more games. So they'll have the game against the Bengals, which you presume they'll win. Then they have a trickier one where they go to Seattle. So
kind of tricky.
Yeah, like if you somehow go to Seattle and win that game and you're 5-2,
then
conversation might be a little bit different.
And the conversation changes.
Conversation might be a little bit different if somehow you manage to pull that off. But as of the moment, I probably am inclined to agree with you, which is I don't know that they're a player, like even who. If you can trade for, I'm using this name, that guy's trade's already been made. If you could have traded for Jadeveon Clowney, knowing that you could keep him around long term, well, listen to that.
Yeah,
That's a guy that's going to help you beyond this season.
So we might as well say it because it's a bunch of people are saying it now. But Jefferson tore his ACL; he's out for the year. So maybe there's that. Maybe the Ramsey thing comes back into.
I'm just so unconvinced. The Jaguars are actually
I agree as well, but I say what you want about Jefferson. I don't think he's played particularly well this year, but he's better than Chuck Clark
or
right.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it. I hear you.
You've now lost 3 of the top 5 guys you expected to come into the season with. Young,
but Jimmy Smith, you're expecting to get back.
But right now, yeah. I mean, I don't know when Jimmy Smith's coming back. I mean, we're not.
No, we're not.
There's no timetable of that.
Correct.
So Smith, Young, and now Jefferson are gone.
I don't think anybody believes it's going to be much longer than the bye.
I'm with you. There's 2 more weeks left before the bye.
No, I hear you. I hear you. From Larry, honestly, Glenn, I have very little to nothing for you. Winning is better than losing. There is no talent on the D side and very little on the O side except Hollywood, Jackson, and Andrews. Receivers since the dawn of time can't get open. I mean, saying no talent on the D side does ignore
here's the thing about the receivers, and unfortunately these things live in forever, so I'm going to say this because I don't like the player, but I see no reason why, unless he's just an absolute horrible practice player, why Jaleel Scott is not active on game day at this point.
Well, yeah, if your argument is, like, Seth Roberts isn't doing anything.
Well,
so why not
Chris Moore isn't doing anything. Seth Roberts isn't doing anything. And here's the reason I've been told, is because, those guys play special teams.
Right, well, that was the argument for why he was on the roster to begin with, was Jaleel Scott.
Right. So what? Throw another guy out there.
By the way,
I don't know if
my bet would be Jaleel Scott's not any good, but sure.
My bet is too because I said that when they drafted him. But my point is, you've decided to, as an organization, you've decided that he's one of the 53 best guys that we have to have around right now. You've had all this time. You've gotten rid of Tim Williams because he wasn't any good. You benched Kenny Young because he wasn't any good. You got this guy, unless he's just god-awful in practice. What's the worst? I mean, even for Boykin's made no impact except for one catch all year, and I really like Boykin, but what harm can it do to give him a shot, especially against the Bengals next week?
In theory, I don't disagree with you. Again, I'm saying that, though.
I don't know if he's any good either. Right. I'd like to find out.
If I had to bet, my bet is he's not. But I get
me
what
too.
You're saying. I get what you're saying. Also,
but
do I sound as weird to you as
you sound a little weird.
I don't know what's going on with
I don't know. It's a little muffled. You sound like you're echoing a little bit. But here's what I do know is that I know Chris Moore isn't any good. I know this. For all of you Chris Moore apologists, he's not any good at football. Maybe he will make a play once a year. Okay. I think Seth Roberts is an okay guy. I mean, he ran a good route near the end of the game. It was a tough spot to put it in, so it's the way it goes. But I don't see the harm of having him active on game day, and let's see what he can do. Especially he's a big target. That's the one thing. Supposedly, this is the only highlight you can find of Jaleel Scott are making these highlight catches in college because he's such a big guy, 6'5", 215, 220. He's tough to cover. Give him a shot. Do something.
In theory, sure.
Yes. Why not?
Right. In theory, sure, but I'm not going to bang my boy. It might be the mic.
It might be the mic.
I'm not going to bang about it because I just don't think it's going to solve that much. Sure, go ahead, give me that mic. That's fine. We got to take a break, and we'll come back in and we'll get to the rest of your comments. We have more to talk about. Look, the Ravens won today. They won the football game. They won.
Yay!
26-23 in overtime. They're 3-2, and the Browns could lose to the 49ers tomorrow night.
I'm giving them 4-2 right now.
Yeah, well, don't blame me for that either.
They're 4-2 after 6 weeks.
Okay, easy,
We've only played 5.
Easy. Easy. Ken Zalis is here in the Live Casino Hotel studio. I just need, literally, it's going to take a minute and a half. We'll come back in, we'll wrap it all up, and we'll get to the rest of your comments, I promise. It's Project Game Day, the post-game show.
Hey, this is Stan the Fan. We're all hoping for a special season out of our football team. When it comes to dining out casually and affordably, I know a place is special every season. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Not only are they known all over for their great steamed crabs and crab cakes, they have a couple specials you want to keep in mind. Monday night is crab cake night. Tuesday night is ribs night. Wednesday night is steak night, partnered with half-priced bottles of your favorite wines. And Thursday night is lobster night. So check out the Costas Inn this football season, and you may come back whatever the season. That's the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard, 410-477-1975.
Need groceries today but don't have time to shop? Order online with same-day pickup or delivery at Wise Markets. Wise to go online. Now that's convenient.
This is Stan the Fan for Glen Burnie Transmissions, located right in the heart of Glen Burnie for almost 60 years. If you suspect you're having a transmission problem, GBT can save you hundreds of dollars over taking it to the dealers for a repair. Make an appointment for a free diagnostic and estimate. Call GBT at 855-728-1841. Their mission is simple: to provide excellent service at a reasonable price. Go to their website at gbt-online.com to check out all of the 5-star reviews. Let my friend Mark Schwartzman and his GBT team take the troubles out of transmission troubles. Call them today at 855-728-1841.
Respect. It's more than a word. In the U.S. Army, it is one of our core values, earned through selfless service to our nation and making a difference both at home and abroad. On the Army team, respect is earned daily. And now, in addition to earning respect, you may earn up to $40,000 in bonuses if you qualify. To learn more, visit goarmy.com/bonus or call 1-800-USA-ARMY, paid for by the U.S. Army.
Catch all of the action at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill, where we have tons of TVs to catch every moment of every game. Enjoy $6.99 burgers on Mondays, $5.99 nachos on Thursdays, and drink specials throughout the season to help you cheer on your favorite teams. Come in today and try something new from our seasonal menu. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports. All right, Project Game Day. I don't think that solved the problem. Oh, that's because, you know what I was doing? I was talking. No, nothing was solved. You talk.
Hi, Project Game Day from the Live Casino Hotel Studios. Ravens win, By the way, the Packers, if you have Aaron Jones, pat yourself on the back. 2 touchdowns.
Must be nice. I'm sorry, I still can't talk.
You still can't talk? Hey, by the way, Joe Flacco is throwing a touchdown pass to Cortland Sutton, so good things. Look, we've said it. I mean, it's a shame with the Tony Jefferson news. I do want to say this, that the hit that we saw, we have to talk about the hit a little bit. I'm sorry. The hit that we saw, dirty, clean, legal, illegal. He made contact with the opposing quarterback's helmet with his helmet. Did he go in? Did he lead with his head? Did he mean for it to be helmet to helmet? No. But anytime there is any contact with the quarterback's helmet, they're going to throw a flag. And here's the best thing about the play is that Rudolph got up, said he was telling everybody he was okay. I hope he truly is okay. There are Steeler fans on the other side that thought that the roughing the passer late in the game on Lamar was a joke call. And again, the way the NFL is officiated this year, if you are lunging towards the quarterback and hit him below the belt, they're going to throw the flag.
That's the weird thing, too, because Dan Fouts' point is correct, is that that's supposed to be the knees.
It's supposed to be the knees, but that's at full
But this goes back
speed.
to what I talked about where, I'm not bitching about the officiating because the rules are the problem. The rules of this sport are absurd. There's 50 things on every play, and it's attorneys couldn't adjudicate this. I get it. Ultimately, on the second viewing, I agreed with everyone else that I think the interception should have been overturned, that it should have been an incomplete pass. But I get it. What you're talking about is you're trying to define, did the ground help the catch? That's what you're trying to define. The impossibility of that is something that none of us can speak to. Our gut is, yes, the ground helped him make that catch.
Yes.
That appeared like he didn't have complete 1,000% control of the ball without the help of the ground. But I get that it's an impossibly difficult thing for you to define because it's an absurd rule.
Yes.
The rule is absurd. And I'm not saying that the rule even can be fixed. I think at some point we have to accept that this is going to be part of the sport. It's one thing to miss something that's clear and obvious.
Right. Yes.
Today I didn't see many things that were missed that were clear and obvious. I see a lot of things that were pretty 50-50 that we disagree with. That, to me, isn't about bad officiating. That's about the impossibility of the rules. It's impossible to get these rules. We're really thrilled, right, that they called the final play as being a catch and a whatever. We're really mad that earlier they called it a catch and a fumble.
Right.
I have no idea. I'm willing to say on the second one, on the first one, the one that the Steelers, I think it was Deontay Johnson, that we all wanted, that John Harbaugh challenged.
Right. And it was a good challenge.
I think it was a good challenge because it was a third down play and a huge play. But I don't think it's as insane that they left the call alone as some of you do.
No,
Frankly, in my heart of hearts, I think that's a catch. Now, I get it. There was a little movement of the ball. And
he didn't secure it.
Right, can you define?
It was such a 50-50, and I agreed with that challenge. I disagreed with the fumble.
Well, that was insane. I have no idea what they thought they saw in that.
Well, that's just whatever.
I mean that one, but
it's nobody seeing anything. There wasn't enough time to see anything, and then you got 50 million bodies.
I mean, if that's as simple as a player came running off the field and said,
it's as simple as
that,
it would have changed the momentum of a game. And hey, is it worth a shot here with 5 minutes left?
I
didn't like it.
I'll never agree with that.
I didn't like it, but it's fine. I had some people saying on the one interception that went off of Andrew's
but you definitely
shoulder. That's pass interference. You have to challenge that. No, because
you're just wasting a challenge.
Unless a guy is literally coarse collared and pulled down, they are never. It's like 1 and 35.
Yeah, they're not overturning pass interference calls.
Overturning
It's very clear. Stop challenging
that
them.
was put in for one play, like it was in the playoffs, where it was totally blatant and obvious, and somebody decided not to call it, and that's the only reason. Stuff that's close, it's never going to be called. It's a wasted challenge, and hopefully, and Harbaugh showed some restraint. See, I can compliment Harbaugh. He showed some restraint there because I have seen coaches are figuring out that you can't challenge that play.
I do have to get more definition on that, too, because I had a couple people ask me about what the rules are, because technically you're not supposed to like turnovers and scoring plays are automatically reviewed, so you're not supposed to challenge them.
Right.
Like the rule had been, well, no, the rule was if you did, you would just be cost you a timeout. Like they wouldn't go there and say, hey, look, we already reviewed all of this. You don't get to challenge it. We review it up top. I need more definition on whether you're allowed to do that or not. I don't, because like I would say it's credit to Harbaugh, but it might be that the rule is simply, hey, we reviewed it. You don't get to challenge it. There are no challenges here.
I was trying to compliment.
I understand that. I understand that.
Let me compliment the man.
I just don't know. All right, let me roll through a few things. Larry did want to point out that after I beat him up because he said that somebody was the only bright spot. He did say yes. Marlon Humphrey is the only real shining light right now. Correct. Right now, Marlon Humphrey's their player. Like he's their player. He's on defense for sure. He's their player
for sure.
Paul, one positive. Hayden Hurst made an impact today. Okay,
he did.
Made
some plays
like Hayden Hurst. Other Paul, they just don't seem like they have enough talent in the skill positions. As wide receivers are non-existent. They cannot get separation besides Hollywood. We need to make trades and make trades now. And this is where you and I.
Well, I first of all, I don't know what you're giving up to make trades, and I have a problem when teams make trades that I don't know if they're really. I mean, right now today, if you had to say one trade or two trades are going to be the difference of them making it to the Super Bowl, I'm not even saying win the Super Bowl. I can't say that it will. Can you? What are you giving up? Are you giving up a top 3 pick, a first, second, or third round pick?
Well, I mean, if you're going to get a real football player,
but can you sign them? Can you? There's so many things. I'm not there yet that the Ravens are good enough to do anything in the playoffs the way they're built right now that one or two players is going to change dramatically. So I'm not for making trades yet.
All right. I'm going to skip past a couple of the comments about the officiating. We're 40 minutes into the show. I don't have it right now. AJ, you are losing secondary guys because you have no pass rush. And what is it? What do you mean you're losing secondary? You're blaming Tony Jefferson getting hurt on the fact there's no pass rush? Is that
maybe he says that maybe means that they're losing their coverage because we have no pass rush.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, your secondary is not going to be as good when there's no pass rush. There's no doubt about that.
We're not the pass rush is not helping out, and it's even more blatant when they send extra people and they have people on the island.
This is a difficult pendulum thing too, though, Ken, where like you spent your money in the secondary. You spent your money on Tony Jefferson. You spent your money on Earl Thomas this year. So this is a tough spot to be in where you can say, hey, look, you can only ask so much of them when you're not getting a pass rush. Well, perhaps true, but you didn't pay them to be just guys that you could, any other guys. You paid them because you thought they could be a little bit better than any other guy that you had. So I'm not beating up Tony Jefferson. Certainly, I think it's a bad thing that he's hurt and he's going to be out for the year. I've never tried to say that Earl Thomas I think has been awful, but Earl Thomas didn't come here to be decent. Like Earl Thomas wasn't paid that much money to just be a football player. He was paid that much money to be a playmaker,
game changer.
Right.
And he has not done that this year. And look, we all celebrated when they signed Tony Jefferson. I know I did. I mean, very rarely have the Ravens ever gone and signed in free agency a young, what we saw in Arizona, impactful player in the prime of his career. I enjoyed the signing. It just, maybe it's scheme. I don't know what it is. Maybe it helps when you have a guy like Patrick Peterson locking down one side.
Can't hurt.
So I don't know what the overall issue is. To me, the biggest issue on this team, even with the issues that you're now going to have in the secondary, is that they can't they don't have linebackers that can cover, and they don't have guys that can get one-on-one pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, but other than that,
it's fine.
Other than that, all good.
Bowser, I thought, played great today.
Larry sort of followed up with that. He said he's sure Tony Jefferson is a super guy and he wish him well, but I've never felt that he has been all that good here.
Okay.
I think this is probably a stupid question, but do you think Eric Berry has anything left in the tank? I do think it's weird that like he's unemployed altogether. I do think that's strange that no one it makes you wonder. Because why would no one have given him?
Haven't even seen anyone bring him in for a workout.
Right.
Yeah. It's very, and it may just be that within that you, especially for the Ravens, Harbaugh is close enough with Andy Reid. It's a phone call. Hey, Does he have anything left?
Right.
No, he doesn't have anything left.
Right.
Okay, we're not bringing him in. I mean, I think that would be an honest conversation. Those two are very close.
But there's a lot of guys
I
that
know,
get brought
I
in that
know.
you're convinced don't have like it. It really makes me wonder about
I don't know.
something else.
Something else, like
God knows, like the Kerry Rhodes thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it really
it
makes
does.
you wonder
It does.
what's going on. That there isn't even a sniff of a dude that's been a really good football player. Like that's a really weird. That's weird, man. It's just weird.
Can I say something not Ravens related?
Not recently, but he had been a really good
Can I say
football.
something
Yes.
not Ravens related?
I mean, sure.
Your Dak Prescott being able to trade him in fantasy football window is closed.
Oh, because he's yeah. All right. Anyway, John never apologized for a victory. I don't think. I mean, I don't.
Apologizing.
Well, definitely we're not saying that. I don't even think the people that are pointing out the problems with this football team are necessarily apologize for the victory. I think that we are giving it more credit than other people are. I think there are a lot of people that are trying to sort of say, yeah, you won, but well, I think it's more of a yeah, you won and. Like, I think it's,
Well, you won.
You won. You had
don't
issues. You had issues before today's game. There's still issues.
If you're a Ravens fan and you're poo-pooing the win, I don't know what to tell you about what it's Pittsburgh. I mean, what was the quarterback that we lost to?
Who?
The Ravens.
Oh, Charlie Batch. He was just on my show.
No, not even Batch. It was another guy. It was a different guy in Pittsburgh. We lost like 17-14.
Could it have been
like
Byron Leftwich, David Garrard? They brought in a bunch of these guys.
I know was
it Bruce Gradkowski?
No, it was like it was.
They beat Michael Vick when he was the quarterback.
When he was the quarterback, but there was another one we lost to. But anyway, there's been so many no-name backup quarterbacks that the Ravens have lost to in Pittsburgh.
They lost to Charlie Batch in Baltimore.
No, but there was. One
I know,
but
but my point is they lost
Dixon.
to Charlie.
Was it Dixon?
Did they lose to Dennis Dixon?
Dennis Dixon.
Did they lose to Dennis
Didn't
Dixon?
they lose 17-14?
Maybe
I
don't
don't know.
remember that, but
I don't. We'll have to look it up.
All
But,
right.
but they weren't good against Dennis Dixon. Let's put it that way. But I just. It's Ravens Steelers. Any win is a good win. It's hard to go on the road in the NFL and beat anybody in any given week, especially when it's a rivalry like this. You know, you lost. You made great points. You lost your two top receivers for various parts of the game. At certain parts, they were out at the same time, and they figured in a 2020 type football game, somebody needs to make one impact play.
And
Marlon
your
Humphrey
best player
made it.
did
And your
it.
best player did
Right.
it. Now, you could complain that he tried to do it earlier and it led to a touchdown. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. He should have wrapped them up. He didn't do it.
Right.
He
When
made
you
a play.
needed your best
You
player
needed
to make a play, he went and made a play.
The Ravens, for all the things that's a problem, they looked at their football team and they say, hey, we got to get tougher and we got to get better in the middle of the field. So we're going to bring in two guys we think are tougher and could possibly play in the middle of the field. Josh Bynes had an impact on the game. He had an interception. You know, he was around the ball. I don't know how many tackles he necessarily had, but he was an upgrade over Kenny Young. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's
Okay.
that's a minimal bar, but
But
right.
they're
Like
trying,
I hear you.
They're
I hear
trying
you.
to do things.
Yes.
It's not like, hey, these are the guys that we came in with, and we're going to roll. We're going to ride and die with these guys. Okay. Well, they're doing things. I think you got to be happy. I think you got to look at the schedule and say, hey, you know, how great is it that we don't have to play a really good football team next week? We have Cincinnati, and we can make some more of these moves and assess some people, and we're going to be 4-2, and everybody's got to feel good about 4-2 after 6 weeks.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, as good as you can feel.
As good as you can
feel.
I'm not trying to take away all the issues. There are lots of issues with the football team.
Right.
We have issues in every game. We could sit here and do an entire show.
Just remember, this was in the camera shot. People have been looking at.
We could sit here and have an entire show for an hour of all the issues that happened today and all the bad plays and all the bad officiating, all the bad throws, decisions, this, that. They won the football game. We could also be doing all of that and talking about a 2-3 football team that's now 2 games out of the division lead. We're not.
All these things are facts. They are all facts. All right, last couple of comments that we're going to get to because we've already gone later than I expected to go. Steven said there are too many rules, period. That was to my officiating thing. Look, but unfortunately I don't know how you play this game without it. And I think that's the part that we don't like stomaching, which is sometimes the only way the game can exist is if there are this many rules. And if there are this many rules and this many complicated rules, sometimes these things are going to occur. And it doesn't just mean that the officials are terrible or they're out to get you and your team or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just the way the games unfold. And in the same way that I disagree with the roughing the passer call late in the game, I disagree that should have been an interception earlier. I don't think either of them were egregiously bad. I think they were both questionable. And I think there's a lot of I think almost every play is questionable in football.
Just about.
That's the way it goes. So this is funny because Joe said, how long until the hot take media starts going on the cap wagon for the Steelers? I'll be the one to do this. The Steelers are absolutely the situation. If Mason Rudolph is out for long term, the Steelers are absolutely the situation where 1,000% they should. Now, they never will, and of all places, Pittsburgh would not be the place where they would give Colin Kaepernick a chance. But there's no, as far as the facts are concerned, this guy's god-awful. This guy's terrible. They can't win anything. They traded away their first-round pick.
They did.
They clearly need to try to win football games somehow. They can't just give up. If there was ever a scenario from a football standpoint where a team should take a chance on Colin Kaepernick, it's 1,000% the Steelers that should do it. Again, it's not going to happen. It's not worth the time. But I did have a buddy say something fascinating. We were talking earlier about this story that like Denver wanted to clear house.
Right.
Could you imagine?
No.
Could you
I'd love it. I would love it.
It probably wouldn't take all that much.
It probably wouldn't.
Could you
imagine?
imagine?
Although now that they're winning 14-0, they may take
right, they might change. They might change their mind
better.
about it. Right, they might say we're not just going to roll over and give everybody up. But could you imagine if the Steelers called out there and said, "Well,
what would it take?
Let's talk about it." Oh my God, it would be so.
I'm here for it.
Unfortunately, they don't play again until week 17.
I'm
so
here
really,
for it.
It really wouldn't help.
I'm so here for
it would
it.
be incredible. It would be incredible if it played out that
for
way. Oh my God, it would be the greatest moment in the history of football if somehow that occurred.
I don't go to Ravens game. I will go to that game.
But it's unfortunately by week 17.
I don't care.
The game might not matter at all.
I don't care.
Nobody might play in the game.
I don't
but it would
care.
still be wonderful. It would still be wonderful if that were to be the case. Unfortunately,
do the Steelers have number 5 available?
I don't know anybody. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you who Devin Helicopters was wearing, what number he was wearing, so I couldn't tell you. All right. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your comment. I apologize. We went long as it was. Ken Zalis, you're back in here with me on Thursday.
I am.
Pressbox Fantasy Football Show at 11:30 a.m. Every Thursday, that is, by the way.
Thursday.
Brought to you by Glory Days Grill and Wise Markets. We love that. And to boot, you're back in here next Sunday.
I am.
Back in here for Project Game Day, Ravens Bengals next Sunday afternoon.
Barn burner.
Love these 1 o'clock games.
I
man.
love them.
Love them. I can get out, still do something with my
know.
day. Fortunately, the week after that, it's 4:30. But another 1 o'clock game next week, and KZ will be back here in the Live Casino Hotel Studio with us for that. At Fans Fantasy on Twitter.
That is where I am.
Of course, is where you follow him, and PressBoxOnline.com to see all of your fantasy stuff as well. I'm back with you tomorrow morning for Glenn Clark Radio. Bradley Bozeman joins us as he does every Monday. Also, Barrett Jones. And all the Alabama offensive linemen are joining me. Barrett Jones was on the call for ESPN Radio today for Ravens Steelers, so we'll talk to him about what he saw as well. And who knows what else might pop up tomorrow. All right, thanks to everybody who made this possible. Thanks to all of you for getting in and chatting with us during the course of the show. I'm sorry I threw out that tasty Flacco thing just to wrap up the show afterwards. It's fantastic. God, I could only. They did beat Dennis. A couple people have let us know they did beat. I thought they beat Dennis Dixon.
Did they beat Dennis Dixon?
Yeah, they beat Dennis
They
Dixon.
struggled against him.
Well, that might be true, yes,
true.
but I didn't think they lost to Dennis Dixon. I mean, they've lost to some bad. I'm not saying they haven't.
I know.
They lost to Charlie Batch at home, but won the Super Bowl that year.
They did.
My God, what it would do for all of us if somehow tomorrow we woke up and there was a juicy rumor about the Steelers being interested in Flacco. Oh, it would just make everything so wonderful. All right, I'll root for that in the meantime. We'll talk to you.
Start one.
You're going to go on and report it? You're going to go and report on Twitter today? The hell, why not? What are we doing here?
I'm gonna tweet my Steeler fans and say, I think you guys should trade for Flacco.
This quarterback
Let's see where it
is
goes.
apparently a team that's looking to dump players.
I'm gonna do that
There's a
right
quarterback with a lot of division experience that might be available.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback who's played in a lot of these big games perhaps could be available. Guys might not have your quarterback. Like if Rudolph is only going to be out, if this really was just precautionary with Rudolph and he's going to be back in a couple weeks, then this is moot. They'll stick it out and try to figure out if they've got something in that guy. But if he's out long term, there is absolute relevance to this conversation, and that makes it so much better. All right, we'll have a week to do that. We'll see you next week. This has been Project Game Day from the Live Casino Hotel Studio.